So I'm going to start with peppers. These are what I'm planting. I'm planting paprika peppers for the first time this year. Tabasco peppers for the first time this year. And cayenne for the first time this year. I've never planted these ones before. These are from Sustainable Sprout. I've never planted anything from there before. Okay, so number one tip here, when filling these trays with the dirt, we packed them, but the best thing to do is water them and then let them sit for a second, because when you do that, it leaves this nice, great forum for you to work with. And it's actually pretty nice, and you'll be able to see the seeds perfectly and everything like that. It's well packed. So I highly suggest doing that. So as you can see here, I'm planting cayenne pepper, and you can tell right here that, like I said before, this is my main tip, is to water everything and just let it sit, because when you do that, it leaves a nice compact soil. So I went ahead and put a little marks in the soil, and then I put my seed in every one, and then I'm just going to cover them over, and they will be ready to go. So I'm going to do that with each one. But for starting these, I'm actually, this soil is so awesome. I guess you wouldn't understand, because before we had such crap soil to work with, and this really is like heaven.
Yeah, here at Wide Family Farm, we got a tip for people just starting out. And like, we have a humidity dome on this tray here. We don't have that many humidity domes, and next year I hope to buy some trays and things from Haas Tools, the heavy duty stuff. But right now we just have some of these cheap ones you get at Walmart, but we don't have enough for all of our trays. And here's my tip right here. Saran wrap. Stretch that saran wrap over top of it. It'll hold the moisture in there and you can see through it. Or you can just pick up on the end of it and see when, as soon as your seeds start to sprout, pull that off of there. It'll help hold the moisture in your soil and do the same thing this is doing. But that's something you get for a couple bucks at the store, a whole roll of it, 100 foot of it. So something you can get cheap to help you out and help you get started on a budget.
Okay, so we have several things planted here. In this first row here, I planted this. I can never pronounce it. It's crazy. I know, but Su de Espani. Yeah. Anyway, it's a really good pepper. I planted it last year. They get really big and long, and they have a really good flavor. So I planted a whole row of them this time. So I'm hoping that they make it. I had one plant last year, or maybe two, that actually did something. So we'll see. This here, I planted the King of the North pepper, and that was supposed to look like this. So I planted that there. These are jalapenos, which are the non-hot version of the jalapeno. And then I cut this up a little bit. I thought I had more pepper seeds, but I didn't. So I planted mini bells. This will be the first time that I'm ever gonna plant mini bells, but since I like cream cheese on my peppers with the everything bagel mix, I'm like, I should get these and see if, you know. So I only planted 12 here and there. And then I got from the Tinker's Wife during a seed exchange these Liza pepper, sweet red and meaty. So I planted these here, and I didn't mean to do this, cut this up, but I thought I had more pepper seeds, so then I just filled in the last tray with the mini bells. But that's what I planted there. and I'm hoping that everyone germinates. I'm really anxious about the Tinkerer's Wife one. I'm hoping that everything is great there, which I'm sure it is, but I'm anxious to see what the germination rate on those will be. What are you doing, honey?
Green tomatoes.
Which ones are you planting now?
These are Amish paste, these over here, and these are Isis candy cherry tomatoes.
So we planted the Amish paste last year, and it did really great, and we got a ton of tomatoes off of it and made sauce and all different kinds of stuff from it. However, we've never planted the Isis before. It'll be our first time doing that, so I'm hoping it's a really good tomato. So.
I'm going to give you a little example of how I do this. It's real simple. What I like to do is we've got one of these misters. These are awesome for when you're getting your seeds started, trying to get them to germinate. You just mist your cell trays. When they're like this, if you pre-moisten your soil, you don't really need to put water in the trays or anything yet if you pre-moisten the soil. But I like to give them a little spray like that. And then get your plastic wrap. And we all know the troubles that plastic wrap can give you. Trying to unroll it without getting it all stuck. You just take your time. This is just one method. I tried it earlier this season on some other things that I was growing because I was out of humidity domes, and it worked really well. As soon as I saw germination, I pulled the plastic off. Everything was good to go. These are all tomatoes here in this tray. And I like to go by, put on the edges, and just press them real good, just so that holds as much of the humidity as possible. You won't get it stuck to itself so bad. I know sometimes this stuff gets you frustrated and you want to wad it up and throw it away and start over, but luckily I've been pretty good with it so far. And there you go, good to go. Now you can also, like I said before, I hope that next year we can have some of the nicer heavy duty humidity domes. But these work just fine, the cheaper ones that you get at Walmart or wherever. But if you don't have humidity domes and you don't want to use the shrink wrap, you can just leave them uncovered, but you have to really watch the moisture. You have to stay on it and spray it probably twice a day at least to keep your moisture in your soil. This is a tray of some herbs, and I think it's herbs. It might be flowers, I don't know. Courtney was planting herbs and flowers. But I'm going to do the same thing with it. Simple, cheap solution. Anybody on a budget can do that. Go to the dollar store and get you a roll for $1. But what I was saying is you can get seeds to germinate without covering them, but you just have to stay on that, be much more attentive and keep your moisture good. This is always an exciting time of year around here. I think the first year we had a garden, I started my seeds in like February. I had huge tomato plants and everything. All my plants were huge. I was so excited to be able to plant a garden because in the city where we lived, I couldn't get anything to grow. I tried containers for tomatoes. I tried putting tomatoes in the ground. We just didn't have enough light from all the trees and everything. And the only place we would have had light was in the front yard. And I guarantee if I would have planted anything out there, it would have came up missing. It wasn't the best neighborhood. It's a very exciting time of year around here. It also gets a little stressful because you're like, you have all these things to plant, and Courtney always gets a little stressed out. She's like, I don't think any of it's going to germinate. It's not going to make it. She always gets worried that the plants won't make. We're getting some planting, get some seeds started, and let us know in the comments if you have any other tips you could share with people on how to get your seeds to germinate. Thanks for watching.